Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I will try this live stream again. So I tried doing this earlier and the internet connection just went off. So what I'm going to talk about again is I'm going to kind of repeat what I said before because I don't know if that video's been uploaded or not. Excuse me. So what I'm going to talk about now is some crazy stuff that's happening over, I guess, in the world. And what I want to do is give you guys a little anecdote of a conversation that I had earlier today with my dad. I was telling my dad about all this stuff that's happening. You know, it's very difficult to grasp and understand what's happening with the UFOs, alien disclosures, and all that kind of stuff, right? It is. It's really difficult to understand, to try and get your head around it. And I was talking to my dad, and basically, the short story is we came to an agreement that, look, we don't know what's happening, and that's right. But what we do know is one of two things is correct. One of two statements is correct. One, either the United States, all these pastors, they're all telling the truth, and aliens really are coming, and aliens are demons, and there's reptilians. Or two, they're lying, right? Okay, so both of those aspects are pretty huge, right? Because the amount of people that have put their names, their reputations on the line, it's quite unbelievable. So a couple of days ago, and this is out on the mainstream now, a couple of days ago, I was talking about, I shared with you guys a video of this this pastor who's claiming that they've been, that there was a secret meeting and he wouldn't tell us where the secret meeting was and who, and whereby, you know, influential religious figures in the United States have been told to prepare their followers for shocking revelations about UFOs, aliens, reptilians, that may upend people's belief in, you know, that may upend people's belief. Now, since that video, since I dropped that video, like I think it was yesterday or the day before, since I've done that, some of the actual people who are claiming, guys, I'm not saying they are, some of the people who were, I'm going to share with you guys these videos in a minute, but some of the people who were claiming to be on that meeting have come forward. So in the background, and this has been happening a while, this is actually, so the timings that they give you, and I'll share all these videos in a second. So the timings that they give us for this go back to before Donald Trump came out and said he was going to do the UFO disclosure. Now, if that's true, just I'll comment on this again when I share the video. But what they're saying is they were told about this UFO disclosure before Barack Obama and Donald Trump went on the media and said this, right? So that to me says this is planned. This is why I'm now leaning more towards the direction of travel that this is fake. And look, guys, I'm 51-49 on this, right? I jump on the either side and I think, oh no, it's real, no, it's fake. I don't know, right? I'm just giving you guys the information. So these claims are exploding online. That the US government has been quietly meeting with Christian pastors to prepare them for a major UFO, alien, reptilian, no, I'm not making that up, disclosure. Many are asking, why would officials suddenly want the church's help after years of secrecy, right? Now, this firestorm started, I think it was yesterday, or again, I shared the video, either yesterday or the day before, where the preacher Perry Stone went public in a recent video. He said that a trusted pastor friend of him said that a large group of pastors were invited to a meeting in a certain state. There, people connected to the government allegedly briefed them on the upcoming revelations about UFOs, spacecraft, exotic materials not from this planet, and even reptilian-looking creatures. Guys, look, I'm not saying that this is true. I'm telling you that this information's been presented to us, right? I don't know what's true. It could be true. Stone says the purpose was to get pastures ready so they could help their congregation process the news without losing faith. He framed it as end times terms, suggesting it would involve deception or spiritual warfare. Some crazy stuff, guys, really. You know, and it brings me back to when JD Vance was saying that aliens are not aliens, they're demons. To me, that's even more terrifying, right? At least aliens, they're in the physical world. You can give them a 1-2 left hook and they're going to go down like a stack of potatoes. Or my famous line from the Bible, I can't remember what verse it is in the Bible, but it goes something along the lines of, if it bleeds, we can kill it. I don't know. I think that might be in Deuteronomy somewhere. Other voices have backed the story. Bishop Alan Didio of Revival Nation says he personally attended one of these meetings. He described a gathering in a remote location with strict security rules, phones on airplane mode, and just quickly, guys, okay, that's not really a strict. That's not that strict. And briefings from UAP investigators. This comes clearly as a time when the United and guys, I've got videos to share with you in a second. This comes at a time when real UFO disclosure looks like it may be happening. President Donald Trump has already ordered more declassification of UAP files. Members of Congress are continuing to push for transparency. But here's where it gets a little bit controversial, right? And I keep saying this, and I will keep pointing this out as far as we keep going. At this point, there's no official confirmation of anything. Right? There is nothing. All the information that we're being given is second-hand accounts, third-hand accounts. I spoke to someone in a skiff, but I'm not allowed to talk about it, So, you can't help, and I know there might be people on here now who are watching and saying, no, it's real. It's really happening. They're demons. They're aliens. They're coming. They're reptilians. That may be true. But somebody please show me some evidence. I'm not saying it's fake. I'm absolutely not. If somebody comes up to me and says, "Hey, Sean, do you know what? I can fly." I'd say, "Whoa, seriously, mate?" But yeah, right. Show me. Oh, I can't do it now. Why not? Oh, I need 2 cans of Stella. Right, let's go to the shop. I'll get you. I want to see that, right? I want proof. I'm not calling anyone a liar. I'm just saying, look, guys, what you're asking people to believe is it's a really big. What's that guy's name? It's like a shark bite. God, he's annoying. So whether these meetings actually happened or not, I don't know. Whether there's going to be a real release of UFO information that is going to prove, without question that aliens are real, I don't know. The story has struck a nerve. It taps into deep distrust and long-standing conspiracy theories and the very real question about what's behind the surge in UAPs and UAP reports. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make sure I've got these right videos up, because there is a biblical context in this, right? So I'm going to share with you guys, a video from the alleged pastors who were, these pastors in America who were allegedly on this meeting. I think it was in Colorado. Now, one of them, in fact, I'll show you this guy first. So I've done a little bit of research into these people. Peculiarly, I can't find any information about this guy. So this is one of the guys who we're going to be, who's going to be talking shortly. Now, I don't know who this guy is, but he's got a website. He seems legit. He's got a website and he does sermons. Now. So this just adds to it just makes it crazier to me, right? Because if this was just some, and I'm certainly not saying this guy's a kook, but if this was just some kook on the internet, right? You would think, right, okay, you've got no credibility to lose. Absolutely no credibility to lose. So why are you saying this?
Part of where the three of us, along with.
Sorry, so this is the guy here. His name is Joseph Said. I can't find anything else about him. He's not got a Wikipedia page. I don't know what the Z stands for. No idea what the Z stands for. But anyway, let's watch this video, and I will be stopping this video at various points and giving like little discussion points of things that I feel, just questions that I've got listening to these reports.
But this is going to be a really important conversation.
Yes, thank you, Bishop Allen. And Tony, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me. I was here till about midnight last night at the studio. My son woke me up at 3 o'clock this morning. I've been up since, so I should have just stayed here all night.
Well, there's so many things going on. We, the three of us, and a few others, just a handful of people, were pulled into a meeting, and we really got data and information that not all of it can we talk about because there's an investigation going on higher ranks of issues. And so we'll talk about the things that we can and should talk about, but we're going to give a lot today. And so what I'd like to do is Bishop Allen, if you could just start with us, my friend, and just begin to talk about what you're understanding and some of the takeaways you have. And then Tony, I'd like you to respond to that.
These guys are very polished talkers, very polished.
Let's begin.
Well, I've got to say this was one of the most unusual meetings I've ever been a part of, where the three of us, along with maybe three others, it seems like a half a dozen people were gathered in an Airbnb in the mountains of Tennessee, discussing an investigation that's going on in the United States government against crimes they have committed in the process of retrieving and reverse engineering technology from non-human intelligence.
So I think what he's saying there is, like, one of the reasons that they are slow to release this information, because they may have committed crimes, like he said, to recover these things. Now, some things are just too big to stick to. When you're operating at government level, right? There are some things that you just have to do. You can't think about, for example, right? Just say, for example, we'll go with this, right? That there is an alien craft and you can see it on your radar and it's about to, and it's coming in and you think it's going to crash land because you can tell by the trajectory or whatever, and that thing's coming in and it crashes. You need to go and recover that, right? You can't let that fall into the hands of, I don't know, Vietnam or whoever, right? You just can't let that happen. So you're going to have to break some laws. You're going to have to break some international. I'm not talking about hurting people. I'm talking about, like, flying into other people's airspace, landing, and recovering that craft. You're going to have to do that. If I was the world's superpower, there's not a chance in hell I would say, hey, Vietnam, guess what? Hey, Vietnam, guess what? We've got an, we're tracking a UFO flying into your country. Good luck reverse engineering that. You might have some fantastic technology and it might make you the world's superpower. Goodbye. You're not going to do that, are you? You're going to go and take that. You're going to go and take that regardless. Absolutely. You're going to go and take that. There's no, there's no caveat to that. So I think what we're seeing is the US government trying to cover their tracks at least.
The meeting also went forward to discuss the propaganda plan that was in place leading up to disclosure. And so it was interesting that as we were...
Right, guys, pay attention here, because he slips this out, and I don't think he means to slip this out.
Preparing for this meeting, I think, Tony, was it 2 weeks before we actually had the meeting, you reached out to us and said something about this. Yes. As we were getting ready, the urgency of the meeting was there's about to be disclosure. We need to have a conversation with key ministers who have a big reach and a big influence so that the body of Christ is not unprepared and is knocked back on their heels when this information comes out. So the interesting thing about the timing of this meeting is, as we were gathering, we saw Obama come out, we saw Trump come out.
Okay, so what he's saying there is, long before Obama said that aliens were real, long before Donald Trump said he's going to release all this information, these guys had been told, right? These guys had already been told. So that means that these guys, again, I'm just connecting the dots here, right? If these guys had been told that there was going to be a disclosure before Obama made, said his, answered his question, yeah, aliens are real, before Donald Trump said that, that means that Obama and Trump are in on it. because they must have said, right, listen, we need to release this slowly. Barack, you know what podcast you're going on, mate? Look, guys, and I'll be honest with you. Like Barack Obama is I think he's one of the coolest people you've ever. You can question his politics, but nobody can deny he's pretty smooth. So Barack Obama's on this podcast, and he gets asked, "Are aliens real?" And he says, "Yes, they're real, but they're not at Area 51." And then Donald Trump said, a couple of days later, I think Barack Obama, mate, he shouldn't have been saying that. We're gonna, I'm gonna have to declassify this information. So if these guys already knew that there was going to be a disclosure before that, that means that it's all planned, right? So how far back does this planning go?
And then we saw more statements that we're going to talk about here in the future. So that's kind of the gist of the meeting. There was a lot that we'll talk about and unpack here in this conversation. But it was truly one of the most unusual meetings I've ever been a part of.
It really was. Tony, you really were part of the catalyst to get us going in some of these spaces. Can you give us a summary?
Yeah, so you're welcome for having the most unusual meeting you've ever had.
We blame Tony.
Blame the podcaster. So, so long story short, I came in contact with these guys more than a year ago now.
More than a year ago. So this has been planned more than a year ago. So they've already known that this is going to happen more than a year ago. So what else is planned, right? So we all look at current events and things that are happening right now. This is happening. This is happening. Look, guys, if you've been following this channel, right, the one thing that I always say is, have you hit that like button? Have you hit the like button, guys? I don't know if you have. I hope you have. Really helps me out when you hit that like button. Another thing I always say on this channel is, imagine you're watching a movie, right? You see the setup for the, I was talking to one of the girls about it earlier. You see the setup for the payoff. So if you're scripting this movie, right? If you're scripting this movie, you need to put your, you need to put your, what did I just call them? Setups for the payoff. You need to put them in early, right?
And I've been in touch with them, communicating with them, and their heart is to prepare the body of Christ for what's coming.
Prepare the body of Christ for what's coming. Does that not just sound ominous, right? Does that sound like really dark?
These guys are part of, let's just say, they're Christians in intelligence operations, and they are specifically geared towards trying to, initially it was to gather evidence and data on what's actually going on behind the scenes within the disclosure community. And that's made of many different camps. And they have gathered a lot of data. And I remember when I was introduced to them, I got some phone numbers, and we set up a phone call. And I think there was 3 guys on the call, including myself before. And we spent probably about 2 hours on a call discussing what they've come up with and what they believe to be going on with disclosure.
Okay. So if these guys are, lying, especially this guy, I couldn't find anything on the other guy. If this guy here, he seems a credible guy, right? He's got a website, he's got a ministry. If he's lying, he's putting his credibility at stake, right? Oh, Pastor, what's his name? Pastor Joseph. Why did you lie about these alien things? Why did you come out publicly and scare everybody and, and make everybody worried about alien disclosure and UFOs? Because that's kind of a big thing, right? That's kind of a big thing, putting your credibility up there. And it's not just this guy. There are other people, but I haven't got time to share all the videos. Now, this direction of travel, right? Aliens, reptilians, they're demons. It all brings us back to, hang on, give me a second. It all brings us back to the, brings us back to what J.D. Vance said, right? In, when did he say it? what brings us back to what JD Vance said when he said, you know, and remember, we've got to understand these things are like the setup and the payoff, right? You know, you've got the setup for the payoff. So the setup in bringing this biblical text, if I may, bringing the biblical text into this whole conundrum, it's when JD Vance said, oh, no, I don't think they're aliens. I think they're demons, but, you know, I'm going to do more investigating. So that's a setup, right? That's a setup for this bringing into this Christianity, which is also a massive aspect of Project Bluebeam. It is. Project Bluebeam has a massive Clarendon, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about, Clarendon. I noticed that mistake at the same time as you, and I changed it. So that's the setup, right? And then you move through forwards, and now we see the payoff. And the payoff, ladies and gentlemen, I've got another video for you guys. The payoff is this from today.
To support this exciting renewal this morning, I'm pleased to announce that on May 17th, 2026, that we're inviting Americans from all across the country to come together on our national mall to pray, to give thanks, and we are going to do something that everyone said, like, that's tough. We're going to rededicate America as one nation under God. You know, a lot of people...
So on the 17th of May, like what, 11 days, is that 11 days? 11 days. 11 days, I'm not laughing. 11 days, the United States are going to, you know, rededicate the United States as one country under God. And I'm just seeing all these data points, guys. I'm seeing all these data points now. And I think it's all connected. Let's let the video play. Sorry, I'll rewind that bit in case you missed it.
And we are going to do something that everyone said, like, that's tough. We're going to rededicate America as one nation under God. You know, a lot of people... Yeah, thank you very much. It's good. That's what I mean by the Spirit. It's so incredible to see it. I see it so much. I've never seen anything like it in 1 year. I thought it would take 2 years, 3 years, 4 years to be where we are. We've done it in, really 10 months. We're at 12, but now it's just getting to a level that we've never reached before as a country. But that includes religion. And maybe that's part of the reason that we're doing so well. There's such great spirit. It's all spirit, and it includes religion. I've always said, you just can't have a great country if you don't have religion. You have to believe in something.
He's absolutely right. He is. He's absolutely right. And I'm not going to take anything away from that statement. I'm not. All I'm going to do is just say that I'm seeing data points. I'm seeing these data points add up, right? And I'm looking at things, and I'm looking at the timings and the information, and it's just, it's a massive information overload, right?
You have to believe that what we're doing, there's a reason for it. There has to be a reason for it. We're all working and we're behaving. I behave because I'm afraid not to, okay? Because I don't want to get in trouble.
Listen, listen, you listen, he's a fantastic speaker, right? Donald Trump's a fantastic speaker. So I'm putting all these things together. I'm putting all these data points together. These pastors that have come out and they've been talking about, reptilians. They've been talking about demons. They've been talking about, this secret meeting with you know, the United States clergy. It's just bonkers, guys. It really is. It's absolutely bonkers. Now, I would have felt a lot more comfortable if that statement would have been like a long time ago. However, we are where we are. Right. Let me jump up and get some comments, guys. Lilith is saying aliens are under the sea. Well, maybe there are several iterations of aliens and they're in several different places. Santi Todd is saying, I just returned back to Earth. My travels, what did I miss? Oh, it's gone south. It's gone south. Lilith is saying it's the New World Order. That's what it feels like to me. Now, look, let me just be quite clear, right? If the New World Order means things are going to get better, if it means we're going to stop wars and build spaceships, I'm all down for that, right? I'm just a little bit skeptical about everything. The Jolly Man is saying Katy Perry is dating Justin Trudeau. Yeah, that was a weird one, right? I didn't see that one coming. Clarendon is saying you should watch Event Horizon. I don't like scary films. Clarendon, I do not watch scary films. One of the greatest snake oil salesmen of our era. Listen, that may be true. I don't know. What I do know is he's a fantastic speaker. Hey, Clarendon, have you watched the my last video that I did for the members video? I was pretty accurate with that, talking about what's happening with this virus. I have a confession to make. I think I might be an alien. Right? Do you have any evidence of this, KK Louise? Like, can you fly? Have you got like extrasensory? Tell me why. Tell me why. Dave Dutch is saying their version, New World Order, does not rhyme with peace and building spaceships, unfortunately. Well, look, I am skeptical. I'm skeptical. I have to understand my own. I have to understand my own prejudice, right? I do. I have to understand my own prejudice. I think was it Henry Ford? I think it was Henry Ford, and he was saying, somebody said to Henry Ford, "Why did you invent the motor car?" or something like that. And he said, did you ask the people what they wanted? And what Henry Ford was said, if I asked the people what they wanted, they would have just said a faster horse. You know, so I understand that sometimes, you know, things happen. Irish Bro is saying, there's lots of aliens. I would love to see that. I would love to see that. I think that would be fascinating. Right, listen, I am going to close this video down, guys. I'm going to be back on at 8 o'clock. I'm going to be back on at 8 o'clock. I'm going to be talking about things that are more domestic. The election that's coming tomorrow, the, what's it called? Go on, the virus, the hantavirus. I'm going to be talking about the, what's it called? The Ahmadi religion of peace and light. I've just not had time today. I have not had time today. There's been so much stuff happening. This virus, it's just been going crazy. There's been all sorts of stuff happening. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I will be closing you guys down. I will be closing you guys down. Christian Chambers is saying the Great Awakening, a new world order. Listen, if it's all good, right, and we live in a brave, you know, we're living in a brave new world, and everyone's, you know, there's no wars and there's no famine, and everybody gets along, and we build spaceships. I'm all down for that new world order, guys. I am 100%. I'm down for that new world order. Sean is not a false idol. Somebody say I'm a false idol. What's an idol? Right. Anyway, listen, I am gonna close this down. I'm literally gonna be back on at 8 o'clock. I had to get this one done quickly. Well, not quickly, but I had to get this one done. Otherwise, I would have just been so backed up. I'm already one backed up because I want to do I want to do a Prepping 101 video for, Prepping 101 for hantavirus. But anyway, I am closing you guys down now. I'll be back on in like 30 minutes. Go get yourselves a cup of tea, a little snack. Don't be late. I'll see you later.